to Bear Book Club. Is my volume not working? There we go. It's up. So today we are talking about Wolf Hall, episode 2, The Mirror and the Light of season 2, and I'm using my ring light, my mini one, and it's wobbling and it's bugging me because I can see myself wobble. So I watched this last Sunday actually when it aired, and I've now got it playing in the background while I talk to you guys on mute. So I'm getting an idea. I'm really looking forward to watching episode 3. This episode surprised me. And it surprised me for a number of reasons. First, I mean, I knew there was going to be flashbacks, but flashbacks to Wolsey dying, I thought maybe a bit on the nose. Like, I thought we'd move forward from that. And then Wolsey's daughter, Dorothea, coming into play. I didn't even know Wolsey had a daughter. I knew he had a son, but I wasn't sure if he had a daughter. And then the fact that she's a nun. And what really, really shocked me was Cromwell offering to marry her. That really fell out of the blue. And she's a nun. So I didn't really get it. Not my thing. I thought Damian Lewis as Henry VIII this episode was amazing. Especially when he was dressed up like a Turk and dancing. That dance at the beginning, I want to learn how to do that dance. Oh, it was so good. And then later on how they bring that back into play when Jane starts talking about Henry won't take off his Turkish costume, and that if he was Muslim he'd be able to have more than one wife and all his problems would be solved. I thought that was all quite funny. The episode overall kind of felt like it's good. It looks beautiful. The sets are amazing. The costumes are amazing. But I didn't feel it was leading too much. There wasn't as much Lady Mary. There wasn't any Pole family. I mean, what else is there? I mean, I'm looking for the intrigue here. I'm going to fast forward a bit. I am currently in the background a few minutes in. So we got Cromwell dying. Oh, the dancing. Dancing was just so good. I know we got Call Me Risley and all those people, but I don't know. I loved the masked ball, the way they did that, and the proper Tudor dancing with the proper Tudor music. I am reading the comments. Whoa, you're lovely friends with the roses, and yes, I am reading the comments, and hi. So I'm trying to think what else I really enjoyed about this episode. I'm gonna fast forward a bit. I thought the way Henry behaved towards Mary was quite typical of who he is in this episode. Quite changeable. He wants utter submission. Yes, everyone likes Taylor Swift. So I liked that. I also enjoyed the scene where he got dressed, because his outfit was just, it makes him look enormous. Like the shoulders out to here and stuff. And like Damian Lewis is a big guy. Henry VIII was a big guy, before he got really fat. And I love how they had his leg propped up, especially from kind of, I think last episode onwards, they've had his bad leg propped up. And I think that is really, really good. It's super attention to detail. I loved it. I am from Northern Ireland, and thank you for liking my hair. Okay, we're going to fast forward a bit more now and see what else we can come across. I did like how they had Holbein in this. He is in the books, like the first 2 books. As I've said before, I read the first 2 books. I never got into the third. I'm sorry. I don't like the way Hilary Mantel writes. I think she's overly complicated. Gracias. Yes, welcome from Barcelona. I have been to Barcelona. I spent 3 weeks there. And what else do we have? So I liked how they had Holbein in it. I would like to see his work later on. I think we see that in the first series of Wolf Hall. At the end, there's the big picture of Cromwell and the reveal, warts and all, right? So that was good. Quite accurate to the books. I don't think there was enough Jane this episode. And I liked the fact they're bringing Lady Rochford back into it, because she is such a nasty piece of work. But I was hoping that I was really, really, really hoping they were going to bring Mary Boleyn back. Just a little bit. I just wanted a little bit of Mary Boleyn. But we didn't get it. If you guys are watching, please hit the like button so more people find this. I'm not too sure. I liked the costumes. I really liked the whole scene with Margaret Douglas as well, and the Duchess of Richmond, and how Margaret Douglas is so convinced that she is married to Thomas Howard Jr. and that Howard is still has eyes on the throne. That was really good, but we could have had a couple of scenes with Margaret Douglas and Thomas Howard, which we didn't get, you know, which I thought was kind of, you can't empathize with a situation unless you've seen it to some degree, I did like how Mary Howard was a lot smarter than Margaret Douglas and was like, the king don't listen, like the king can do horrible things to you. What have we got? Name a car for the edit. BMW. No, a Toyota Aygo. But yes, I'm gonna do a city car. So that was good. We're gonna fast forward again. See what else we get out of this. The sets. I think they were allowed to film in Hampton Court, and you can really tell that they were allowed to film in Hampton Court. The scene where Henry is holding court with all his ministers and pretty much yelling at everyone, and then he takes Cromwell's good idea about giving Mary the ring. That was a good scene. I think Damian Lewis definitely has that, monarch, listen to me vibe, which I really enjoy. And he's changed from the first season to this season. He's definitely become darker, he's more brooding, he's angrier, and you see all of that. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, is like the fall of Anne Boleyn affected Henry mentally. I think he crossed the line there and he never really recovered from it. He tried to, but killing Anne, it's like jumping the shark, like you executed your wife, and I think that was captured very well here. What do I do for a living? I am the assistant manager of a charity shop. Very good at it too. I did like the fact we got to see Nan Stanhope a little, but I don't think they got the bitchiness quite right between Nan Stanhope and Jane. That controlling aspect of their relationship. Jane Parker coming back, I don't know. I know she's there, but I'm not really sure how she's going to be used because she doesn't really turn up properly again in the story until Catherine Howard. So we're going to have to live and learn, wait and see, aren't we? I did quite like how she was mouthing off about Henry to Cromwell. I mean, it obviously shows that their relationship is relatively close, that she trusts him enough not to turn her in for treason. Can I have my coffee, please? Coffee! Do you like my cup? It's backwards on the camera, but it says Queen of fucking everything, Okay, so we're gonna fast forward again and see where we get to. Okay, we got the tower. Yeah, when they're questioning Thomas Howard, and he's a poet, and what's it called? They're calling him Tom True, I want to say. I mean, it was all right. I know that they were all really into poetry, and that Thomas Howard did write a lot of poetry, but he wasn't very good at it. But all the girls loved him. I also feel sorry for him because he had the same name as his older brother. I mean, like, Tudor England is so confusing. Everyone's called like Henry or Thomas or Mary or Catherine, and that's it. There's like no other names. It always reminds me of that scene in Goodfellas where like everyone's called Peter or Paul and all their wives are named Marie. Okay, fast forwarding again. Did anybody else watch Wolf Hall? What did they think of it? Any thoughts out there about the show? I did enjoy seeing a little bit of the Lady Mary, but I wanted more of her. I really did. I wanted some interactions between her and Chapuis. I thought that would be good, and I know it's all from Cromwell's perspective. I know that, but he maybe could know a little about what's going on between Mary and Shapwee. I mean, I would definitely enjoy that. Like maybe Tom as Cromwell allowing a little bit of communication, because he obviously has a soft spot for Mary. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Okay, we're fast forwarding again. I understand why Mary is like, I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. I've already given in. So we all get that. Okay, fast forwarding again. We are now 30 minutes in. Oh yes, so this is when you're getting all the disillusionments of the monasteries, right? And there's little bits going on, but you can definitely tell that Cromwell is looking more long term and getting rid of all the monasteries completely. He's making that quite evident in this scene. But I kind of want to say that, like, I know he meant to do this all along, but this is a man who worked for the cardinal, so he is doing it for the king, and I don't think we see that struggle enough here. He just seems to be very hardline reformist Protestant, whereas like Anne was a reformist, but a reformist Catholic, and now you've got reformist Protestant. And the fact that he used to work for a cardinal always kind of sat a little bit off with me. I mean, how does a man who can come up with the cardinal, who was made by a cardinal, then go whole hog the other way around and dissolve all the monasteries? So I think we could do a scene a little bit more of that inner turmoil, you know? Because, for example, Anne Boleyn wanted them, you know, some of the smaller houses closed, but didn't want them all closed. So I'm wondering if we're going to see a bit more turmoil of this in the next episode. Fast forwarding again. Where are we now? We are 33 minutes in to the episode, because I'm fast forwarding because I've watched it. This is just a refresher for me, so I can talk about it while talking to you guys, you know? I really loved the scene with Jane Seymour when she has the Book of Psalms and she's talking about how Henry and Anne used it to talk to each other, and they would write like little messages under pictures or little messages beside quotations and pass it back and forth, and how I think this is like affecting her, because Henry obviously adored Anne. He loved her so much, and he obviously loves Jane, but in a very different way, because Jane is very placid, very meek, very mild, whereas like with Anne there was fire. That's what I think anyway. Does anybody else agree? And I think the actress they've got playing Jane is perfect. That was the most perfect casting I have ever seen for Jane Seymour. The Jane Seymour they had in The Tudors, I always thought was far too good looking. You know, she was very kind of Plantagenet looking, for lack of a better word, whereas Jane looks more docile somehow, and cuter, sweeter, just more feminine, for lack of a better word. So I really enjoyed that. Oh, hello, Shane. It's like The Haunted Queen by Weir, haunted by Anne and struggling to fill her shoes. Yes, and I do think as well we need to see a bit more of Jane interacting with the court last episode. I really enjoyed when she didn't really know how to talk to Mary, you know, person to person, and there is a scene who goes first. I thought that was really good. Fast forwarding again, let's see where we get to. Okay, we are now back in the court and Henry is back in his Sultan's costume. We are 37 minutes in. I would like to see a bit more maskings and disguising, but I know at this point in Henry's life and his court that had really fallen off and wasn't happening as much. So I don't know if we will, but that costume is just insanely good. I mean, the turban alone, I know, it's amazing. If you haven't yet, give this video a like, please. Where are we? So we've talked about the Sultan costume and how I feel like, you know, he's becoming more autocratic and he is more ruling pretty much completely for himself now. But Cromwell's still having to do all the dirty work. It reminds me of that line from Game of Thrones, the king rules and the king eats and the hand takes the shit, right? And Thomas Cromwell pretty much is essentially the king's hand, if you want to take it back to Game of Thrones and how that all works. I like how he has this kind of flock of cronies that are always following him about. You've got Risley, you've got Richard Rich, you've got all his men. I also like how Kristoff was in this episode because he's in the books and I think he's a little bit in season 1 if I remember correctly, but he's not as much. So it was really good to see a bit of Kristoff because he's just a thug. You know, Kristoff is just a thug, and Cromwell likes him because he likes that. He sees a bit of himself in that. So we got another message. Love the scene with Henry and Cromwell because it really captures Henry. He made me so angry with how selfish he was taking Cromwell's gift for Mary. But the thing was, I think Cromwell knew that was going to happen. You know, because you get the flashback scene with Wolsey, and he's like, he'll take all your good ideas for his own, and you will get none of the credit and all of the grief. And I think Cromwell did that because he knew that is something the king should do. Does that make sense? That's something the king should do, but maybe won't think of, or would be too selfish to think of. Does that make sense? You know, it's kind of like if you're scrolling through your phone and you see like, oh, a really good like life hack for doing up your kitchen, and you're like, I'm gonna do that. You're just taking the idea, but in Henry's sake, the sense he's actually literally taking it. I got my cat down there, she's doing big stretches. Okay, so we got some Chapuis now. Fast forward. Yes, so the scene that I really caught me off guard was the whole nunnery scene at the end with Dorothea. What was that? Like, where did that come from? I'm looking forward to reading Alison Weir's next book about Wolsey because I always knew Wolsey had a son. I kind of vaguely knew he had a daughter, but I couldn't like put into words what had ever happened to her. I kind of assumed she'd married someone. So the fact she became a nun, I thought was just a bit out there. And she's so mean. She's so mean to poor Cromwell. You know, he's trying to be nice. He gives her books and stuff, and then he offers to marry her so she doesn't have to be a nun. And I mean, even if you're not that forward thinking, you would know that like the monasteries are being closed, nunneries are being closed, like you guys are under threat. And she's just like, no, don't like you. And he doesn't say like, you don't even have to marry me, like I'll help you get out. And I don't know, it was a very odd scene. I think it's obviously about his guilt about leaving the cardinal right at the end, and him trying to assuage his guilt by, you know, marrying the daughter. But like, where is Wolsey's paramour in all of this? Because like, you know, he had like a mistress for years, and Wolsey's son. So I don't know, it kind of caught me a little bit off guard, just a little bit. Okay, what do you think of Chapuis' depiction? He lacks the presence of Chapuis. Yeah, Chapuis, I don't know, he seems a bit wishy-washy for me in this season, like these episodes, like not as invested. You always get the sense reading books and watching the Tudors and reading the Alison Weir books that Chapuis is so invested in making sure Mary's okay. You know, and here you just don't get it. It doesn't happen. You know, he's just in the background, like whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna send some letters to the Emperor. And I think that's maybe to show, you know, that Cromwell's manipulating him in some way, but I'm not sure. Maybe it will get better as the episode goes on. I remember last season, I quite liked Chapuis. So maybe they'll go back, like they'll reform to type, you know? So we just watched the episode. I'm nearly at the end now. And Cromwell's crying because he got turned down by Dorothea. But you know, it's got a lot more to do with Wolsey. And I've also thought that Cromwell probably has this like sense of guilt because his own daughters died, Anne and Grace died, and I think that's why he feels so close to Mary and wants to look after her. And there's probably a tie in there with Dorothea because they're all about that age. So I think if you've read the books, that might be a through line. Not 100% sure. I know it's a through line in the first 2 books, but I never read the 3rd one. So does anybody else think that? Fast forwarding again. So we're really getting to the end now. Yes, and then after his whole crying spell, he's no longer seeing the ghost of Wolsey, which is probably a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to be hallucinating my dead boss. I mean, would anyone? But he seems kind of bereft by this, like his great mentor has left him, finally, you know, in these moments. And then you get the scene with Risley, and there's also talk in this episode about the coronation, and I think it's interesting that Mary knows that Jane won't be crowned. I think that's really, really interesting. You know, she's got a better handle on who her father is, I think, than a lot of other people. Do we have any questions? Any questions at all? Because we're pretty much at the end of the episode. That was episode 2 of the series of Wolf Hall. So season 2, episode 2, Mirror in the Light. I'm going to go up and get its name. Ooh, it's out. So the 3rd episode is out. Oh, I didn't know that. I was waiting for it to come out on TV today. So the 1st episode is called Record, the 2nd episode is called Obedience, and then the 3rd episode, which premieres tonight on BBC, is Defiance, a religious rising in the North Country puts Cromwell's political career to the test. Okay, so we're going to get the Great Rising, you know, the Pilgrimage of Grace. So there's only 6 episodes in the 1st season. I mean, the BBC is famous for only ever doing 6 episodes of anything. So, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to end. Like, I kind of assumed it would end with Cromwell's execution. So, they've got a lot to fit in then in the next 4 episodes. I mean, they've got the Pilgrimage of Grace, they've got Jane giving birth and dying, they've got Anna of Cleves, and I'm pretty sure Anna Cleves is going to be in this. Don't quote me on that, but I think I seen like a little like screen grab or something on one of those Tudor forums I'm part of, where somebody was like talking about the actress and did she look the part, you know? If you're listening, that is my cat. She wants to go out. Treacle, come on, come say hello to the internet people. Expect the Pilgrimage of Grace in episode 2. Yeah, they are moving the show slow. And it kind of makes me think, are they going to drag it out to a little bit closer to Christmas? Like, are we going to get 7 or 8 episodes maybe? Or are we even going to get like a 3rd season? I can't see us getting a 3rd season, but I could see there being an extra couple of episodes, you know, thrown in there, just, you know, to bulk it out, because like, I'm pretty sure the marriage to Anna Cleves, the negotiations, will have to be an episode, and I mean, Henry not liking her would have to be its own episode, and then like Cromwell's Fall is all mixed in with that, and the rise of the Howards and all of it. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then there's also when Cromwell gets made Lord whatever his name is. I can't remember now. Yes, hello. Analog Static, that's a good name. It's a good name. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. You know? I don't know. I am enjoying it. I don't know if I'm enjoying it as much as season 1, but I think that's simply because it's not like the Anne Boleyn saga, which is always my favourite part of Tudor history. I mean, I think that's a lot of people's favourite part of Tudor history, is the rise of Anne Boleyn. You know? And you know what I do want to do? I want to get those Tudor cross stitches. Have you seen them? And it's like Henry with all his wives, but it's like 50 quid. I keep seeing it in Hobbycraft, and I'm like, I want to get that, and they have all the threads to do all the colours, but in the same breath, I'm like, I don't want to spend 50 quid on something. It's going to take me like 8 months probably to finish. And then like, I do quite big cross stitch, like, because I know you're meant to do like 2-hole, and I normally do 3-hole cross stitch, and I'm worried I would make it like too big for whatever it is I'm doing. So I need to get a bit better at that. So yeah, if that's everything, I think I will be shutting off. I'll give you guys another minute if you've got any more questions or anything, and then I will probably go. Did you guys all enjoy my Merry Queen of Sorrow series I put up. I've got all 3 episodes of it up now, which I really enjoyed doing. It did take me a while to read the book though, in fairness, which I didn't mean for it to. Did you think of Jane Boleyn's recast? That's what I mean. I didn't really like the recast of Thomas Howard either. I mean, it's alright. It's not bad. I thought Jane Seymour in the first series was more on point for who she was, but it is what it is, you know? You can't win them all, as they say. What else? Oh yeah, so I read Victoria by Daisy Goodwin, and I've got a review of that I need to record and put out. And then I've got a couple of other books about Victoria's daughters. I think we've got the one about her oldest child, Vicky, who was the mother of the Kaiser. And then we've got the book about Princess Louise, which I'm going to read. So there might be a bit of a Victorian series coming out. You know, sometimes you go through phases and you read loads of Tudor stuff, and then you read loads of like Victorian stuff, and then you read loads of like cowboy stuff. I'm also reading How Wide the Sky at the moment, which is really good. Much better than I thought it would be, because the cover is like a bodice ripper, and then you start reading it and it's actually pretty good. So I've been enjoying that, so I might make a review of that. It's the Women in the West series by this author. I think she did 3 or 4 books just about women going west, and she's done some other stuff, but her most famous stuff is like The Women That Go West. I think they came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they're definitely a little bit bodice rippery, but like kind of, they've got enough history in them that they're good, and like the bodice rippery bit is like that much, you know, so it's not that bad, you know. And it's hard to find like I find good Western historical fiction that isn't just 100% sex, so I'm really enjoying that. That was actually, I read Olive Oatman, her biography, and that was recommended at the end. So I am gonna sign off. For all of you who have stayed with me until this point, thank you very much, and I will be doing a review maybe Monday or Tuesday like this again of the next episode of Wolf Hall. So until next time, guys, bye.